So I got sent a transphobic video from somebody I went to high school with. Typical fear-mongering. It was Trump saying that there should only legally be two genders, that teachers shouldn't be telling kids that they're trans, that the radical left has created transgenderism in the last couple years. And I didn't know if the person who sent it to me was sending it to me because they were saying, look at this, it's ridiculous, let's all point and laugh, or because they were agreeing with it. And so I asked him, what do you think about that? And he responded with, no one is born the wrong gender. It's just whether you have practiced self-love and take care of yourself. And no teacher or parent should be telling children that they're born in the wrong bodies. And I'm just gonna read you my response because I put some time and energy into it and I like it, so why not? No one is telling kids they're in the wrong body, especially not teachers. If you believe that, you've been fed way too much QAnon nonsense. Protecting trans youth simply means if they tell you they feel one way, you believe them. It doesn't mean body mutilation, which, by the way, we forcibly perform body mutilation on 2% of the population that is born intersex every single day. A new haircut is gender-affirming care. Getting new clothes, gender-affirming care. Going by a new name, gender-affirming care. And trans people have been here since civilization has existed. This didn't start happening a few years ago. The right started manufacturing hate towards queer people a few years ago, yes. That's because they fundamentally lack any platform that does fuck all, so they have to focus on fear-mongering around niche issues to convince people to vote for them, and you're falling for it. I expected better from you. The thing is, person's name, you're choosing to believe people that are basing their entire opinion in fear, hate, and ignorance. Have you even met a trans person before? Just one. I'll go out on a limb and say that answer is no. The facts are that most trans youth will never receive surgery of any kind. The World Professional Association for Transgender Health, which sets global best practices for transition care, recommends, quote, extensive exploration of psychological, family, and social issues prior to any physical interventions for young people, end quote. Again, this typically looks like a haircut, new clothes, trying a new name. Puberty blockers have been prescribed for over 40 years for both trans and cis youth. They simply delay puberty and are 100% reversible. Very young children do not receive surgery. In fact, surgical care for anyone under the age of 18 is extremely rare, and when it does happen, it is a decision made by multiple medical professionals over an extensive stretch of time. Medical professionals know better than you in your Instagram videos, person's name. And the trans experience is not something that you will ever be able to understand. And trying to paint gender dysphoria as a, quote, lack of self-love, end quote, is frankly a very pathetic self-projection. Again, the facts are that people, adults included, who transition and subsequently regret transitioning are less than 1%. In comparison, 20% of people who get knee replacement surgery regret getting the procedure, yet no one is in the streets throwing a fit about surgeons pushing for knee surgery. Do you see how you're basing your opinions on irrational nonsense the right has systematically fed you to make you angry at something that isn't actually an issue? Another fact is that suicidality is highest among transgender youth, particularly among ones with untreated gender dysphoria, with 40% of trans youth reporting to have attempted suicide. I need you to put that into perspective. You would rather take the statistically inevitable risk of allowing a child to attempt or consider killing themselves than take the statistically improbable risk of letting them get a haircut? You would rather allow children to lose their lives because you cannot respect other people's lived experiences. You feel uncomfortable expressing yourself outside the confines of society's made-up rules. You lack the ability to think beyond your own bigotry. More facts. Insert a source. Here's a source explaining to you that even chromosomes exist on a bimodal distribution scale, meaning it is not simply XX and XY. They are two ends of a spectrum, and there are any number of variations in between. Someone, quote, someone who is intersex has a mixture of physical traits distinctive of both sexes, making determination of their phenotypic anatomic sex uncertain. Once again, even the notion of being assigned a sex at birth between two options is not supported by comprehensive science, and this is basic biology. It doesn't even begin to branch into anthropological, sociological, or psychological research. All in all, person's name, you are sorely misguided. You're allowing your hatred of what you don't understand to fuel you, and you're allowing ignorant opinions that lack empathy or research to guide that hatred. You're right, no one is born the wrong gender, but discovering what that identity is has nothing to do with what you are assigned at birth. It is statistically likely that the two will align, yes. but that is not true for everyone. And the issue comes in when you take it upon yourself to support legislation that doesn't allow people, including youth, the opportunity to explore what that gender identity is for them, simply because you have been led to believe that gender nonconforming people are a trend, rather than a historically documented, flourishing people. One more thing to consider: money is a social construct, right? Yet despite this, it doesn't mean you can go rob people, because it has been embedded into our global culture with real-world consequences. The same is true for gender. Gender norms and roles have consistently fluctuated throughout time and civilizations because it is a construct that does not objectively exist on its own. Despite this, its embedment in our society has real-world psychological impacts on people that have been forced into one narrow understanding of how they are supposed to exist, while simultaneously being able to observe another way of existing that makes more sense to them and makes them happier. And when you boil it down, person's name, that is all there is to it. There are people out there that are happier identifying as something else, and it shouldn't matter because all of it is a construct. Your desire to prevent an entire group of marginalized people from experiencing euphoria in the name of maintaining a status quo that doesn't actually exist is weird and hateful. You are the one that has unpacking and self-care to do, not trans folks.